Hi, I'm Ryan Krohn, the director at the Institute for Personalized Learning. Thank you for joining us for another episode in our Tools for Transformation series. Today's episode is about creating a vision statement. All of our toolkit elements in our Tools for Transformation are part of our Institute toolkit, which you can see the link here at the bottom to be able to download our free toolkit, which is a series of tools that focus on everything from getting started to design, implementation, iteration, and ultimately to expansion and systemic change. I'm going to go into a slide deck right now, and we will follow here through our session here today. And remember, you have access not only to the slide deck on here, but to our toolkit to be able to move forward and take a closer look. You can pause this episode at any time if you want to take time now to download that toolkit and follow along as we get into this webinar here today. Our latest update was October of 2017. We do update our toolkit annually, and this is an opportunity for us to put in a series of tools and processes and frameworks that we use with our work with our members and throughout many of our presentations and processes that we have together. Here's our download link for our free version. I mentioned earlier that our toolkit is designed around our 6 stages of transformation. We're talking about getting started in design, implementation, iteration, and expansion and systemic change. For the most part here today, we'll be focusing on getting started in design, as you'll see the coding system as to where today's activity falls in and to where we'll go. It's critical that we understand sort of the outcome of each of these stages. The first 2 stages are generally about changes in the assumptions, the values, and the beliefs of the adults, the staff, the leaders inside of an organization. These next 2 stages of implementation and iteration are really about changes to the learner's experience, where we've actually taken time to take what we've designed and put it into action. And lastly, our last 2 stages about expansion and systemic change are really about changes that we're making long-term to the system, where we truly recognize the paradigm shift that is necessary to bring forward personalized learning practices as our primary mode of operation. We always start with a purpose. Why would we use one of the tools from the toolkit? You can have a series of questions going on in your school. But with today's episode is taking a chance to look at creating a vision statement. Your purpose might be about finding places where there's lack of clarity about your vision for your work. Or it might be about a department thinking about why they would like to sort of look at the purpose or the vision for their science curriculum or assessment practices or the district as a whole. You'll see a variety of examples of a school example and a district example that we'll get to in just a second. But it's really important to understand that before you jump into an activity, that you're clear on your purpose and what you want to do. We get into vision statement. We talk about a vision statement as a company's roadmap, indicating both what the company wants to become and guiding transformational initiatives by setting a defined direction for the company's growth. A vision statement really allows us to sort of have the idea of strategic intent, sort of thinking about we might not have the resources and supports right now to deliver on that vision, but along the way, we're going to continue to take strategy to move towards that vision, growing and supporting our work moving forward. As you'll see in the table of contents in our Institute toolkit, we're right here under 2.3.2 today. It falls under creating a shared vision, and the activity that we're going to highlight here today is about creating a shared vision statement. This is part of a series of growing. And again, why we've done our episodes here today is to help people bring the toolkit to life and see the ease of using some of these templates and ideas. We talked a lot about creating our statement, but really for the most part, I wanted to bring us back to thinking about keeping our work as simple as we can, which you can see referenced here on the left side, but also systemic. What we mean by that is that when we're thinking about work, we want our work to be simple enough to understand, take steps forward tomorrow, but also systemic enough that it's going to lead towards something. And we think about it through the lens of the systemic implementation of personalized learning elements. If we break this simple process down just a little bit more, you'll see that our shared vision statement really comes in sort of our leadership series of a second step, where you're getting started and thinking about your local context, but we're also getting into a design element and thinking about crafting that design into a shared vision. This notion of the hexagon getting stronger each wall, or the walls of the hexagon, really are grounded in the actions that we take as leadership teams to think about whatever the ideas or whatever the elements are that we might want in play, and making sure that we take these steps to do this. Today's episode gives us a chance to look at creating a shared vision or a vision statement that helps to reinforce sort of the why you're getting into this part. Remember, these first stages are really about the adults framing their beliefs and their assumptions and their direction in order to guide all of our implementation efforts as we go forward. We're really asking the question, what is the shared vision for this element? I just used the word element in relation to maybe a particular personalized learning practice, but it could be what is your vision statement for personalized learning altogether? As we all know, there's a variety of definitions for what people would distinguish personalized learning to be, or what they'd even distinguish certain practices fit within that vision or not. So it's critical that we take time to break down some of the words and some of the meaning behind them. And that's why some of these stages are so important that we do this as adults so that we make sure when we're changing the role of the learner and changing the learner experience, it really has a strong foundation. We talk about a shared vision and we continue to look at this piece, but our future is not a result of choice among alternative paths offered by the present, but a place that is created first in the mind and will, and created next in activity. The power of this piece is really thinking about this is sometimes it really takes the creation process to bring these ideas forward that you're thinking about. And it's generally not just a couple of paths laid out in front of us, but one that we are creating. And that's an important piece of the work of personalized learning. We've talked about our network being very powerful when it plays all four roles. We've connected with other people, you've consumed high quality information, but you've also had time to create and contribute. So this side of creating a vision statement is about what's really going to be able to bring your work forward as you're creating this. And it's going to follow by a creation of processes and practices that fall within that and move you closer to that. Here's an example of a vision statement. We see a variety of them. You can Google vision statements for schools and organizations and districts. Edina Public Schools has provided an example where they're looking at bringing personalized learning experiences for all their students inside of their program. And they sort of put together a larger vision statement in terms of where they want it to go, and sort of what their work was involved in. Or this example of Eastern Carver School District that had taken the time to really define what some of their vision statements were in relation to they are an exceptional personalized learning system. And they talked about really here, thinking about purposeful learning, keywords. All of these kind of ideas can help draw and fuel your vision statement. And this idea here in Minnesota at Palmer Lake and Osseo School District started to think about some of the things that were important to them, whether it was learner profiles, learner voice and choice, or even thinking about shared commitments and success. How would they bring those pieces together to start to form their vision? We call this the constellation, but really, if you take time to break it down, it ends up forming into a vision statement. If you think about shared vision piece, or whether it's about one element like learner independence, or about the previous examples I provided from schools or districts or individual ideas, it's really thinking about what is that vision statement that's really going to help to steer the change efforts to deploy actions towards this. When you get it back into the toolkit, you're going to see the coding of today's episode of 2.3.2, which is creating a vision statement. But as you just saw in a couple of minutes ago, that falls within our traditional outline of the entire toolkit. So going back to what is the purpose for doing that? As always, all of our toolkit activities are designed around a certain amount of time that it might take. This is about a 2-hour workshop. So whether it fits into your staff meeting, whether it fits into a professional development day, or so it's something that maybe you get started and come back to after a couple of sessions, you'll see it gives like a guide of the amount of time. This is not an activity that's going to take 5 to 10 minutes and it's quickly done, but you're going to want to have enough time to have people have some dialogue, some input, some conversation. It's considered design work. We think it's best done by a team, so you're not just developing a vision statement and handing it to somebody on a piece of paper already established. And again, what this gets you is a vision statement describing your ultimate endpoint of what personalized learning will look like in your district, school, or classroom. Critical piece here, and as you saw as a part of our strategic process, understanding sort of what this vision piece is really does guide implementation efforts and next steps. Again, with vision statements, sometimes we end up thinking a little bit too small, or just something that we might want to do tomorrow. This is not a to-do list. Or even maybe too grand, where we create a real sense of anxiety in between where your present state and a preferred state. And so one of the pieces here is to really think about that strategic intent and framing your ideas around an area that you're going to be bridging with action. Please keep in mind, and these are a couple of ideas that we already put in here, that your vision can address your endpoint for year 1, year 2, year 3, and longer. So that's for sort of taking the time to not only build a statement, but to help people see how your team will successfully get there is a critical component. You always add a couple of questions that just get the work started. And in this case, two simple questions, given enough time for conversation, you'll allow ideas to emerge and themes to emerge. And we've seen a lot of groups do different pieces, whether it's around simple sticky notes or Wordle or polling each other or other things that might be able to happen where you get a chance to get collective feedback and find which themes emerge. Again, as I mentioned, this is activity 2.3.2. So you can imagine that if you're you might have spent some time on 2.3.1 or some other things leading up to this, but this is again an activity to bring the toolkit to use inside an activity and taking time to guide people through this concept. If we look at that toolkit, again, this reminder that I just said is about really matching this to your purpose. So if you see a need to really draw a clear vision, whether it's just one particular element of personalized learning or whether it's a collective vision or a constellation that you've been working on, taking time to form this vision statement will be a powerful piece and propelling and creating a foundation for your work as it unfolds with personalized. If you're looking for more information or other tools, you can click on our video link here on our Tools for Transformation videos. We've done previous videos like this before, so you can watch other episodes, or you can always contact us at the Institute if you have any questions or need some support or information. We encourage you, if you have anybody doing this work, to continue to share any of these links with their colleagues as they're beginning this work forward. Again, these webinars and these episodes are designed for a quick overview of what these tools are about and how to best implement and use them in your system. At this time, I'd like to thank you for joining us for again another episode. And again, as always, thank you for your leadership and your work to bring personalized learning forward to the learners in your schools, classrooms. Thanks and have a great day.